And Rachel make the moves real sharp. Serenity Lounge, hitting bullseyes like darts. No
The Brie and Rachel show with Serenity Lounge. We are getting on our first podcast. Really have millions of rhymes or reasons of why we're doing this podcast, but we haven't really narrowed it down to what it's going to be all about. So we're just going to do a simple intro of one another, talking about who we are, what we do, and what our mission is in this whole little world of which we live in. So I'm Brie Walker, and I'm going to intro Rachel Barcelou. She is my colleague and my friend. I'm probably going to cry.
Oh
no! That's what I do. I actually cry a lot. But anyways.
Yeah, we both do, actually. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, fun fact. Nobody would actually probably know that about us.
Super emotional.
Mm-hmm. So I met her 2020, right after we got let back into our buildings as massage therapists with COVID. She started at the wonderful clinic in which we were able to first learn. And I hated her. I was like, who's this? Oh, shit. Yep. She's 10 years younger than me, and she has 2 kids. They are 10 and 9 now? No, 10 and 8. 10 and 8. And a wonderful husband who is also going to be joining us on this crazy manual therapist, massage therapist world, and is almost done his 2nd year. So, Rachel, she is, I would say, what I would like to call a likable badass. What you see is what you get. There's really no, you don't really got to overthink a whole lot of stuff. It's like, oh, she actually just fucking said that. If you piss her off, no, never say sorry. If you piss her off, you'll know about it. And I love that about her the most. She is a very caring, kind friend. She is one of the best therapists and the smartest therapists I've ever met. She can see the body completely different from what I've been able to see the body. So to have a different perspective on what it all looks like is pretty freaking amazing. And I like to call her my therapy dog. And it's a joke, but it's not a joke.
I'm going to wear a collar next time.
You should wear a choker.
We'll have a little,
right? Yeah. Bree's dog. Anyways, she reins it in for me because undiagnosed dyslexia and ADD, I don't care. It might be just my age and I might be it all getting worse, but I confuse a lot of things. I can't come up with a lot of words. Muscles were very hard for me right from the get-go, and I've been doing this for way longer than Rachel, but she seems to get it way more than I do. So I'm just like, shit, I'm just going to follow this chick around and just copy her.
I need a therapy dog to guide me.
Seriously, to rein it in. And we'll talk a little bit more about our passion for muscle testing and neurokinetic therapy and PDTR. And you'll be watching us on our journey throughout the course of our podcast, because that's really what we're doing, is trying to inspire massage therapists to find their passion, whether they've been doing it for 2 years or 20. I don't care. It is a place where everyone can help other people heal and get better, and they also can get better themselves. And I think that that's what Rachel and I have found, that we weren't good therapists until we worked on ourselves. And when we inspire each other to work on ourselves and go through some of the tough stuff as moms, entrepreneurs, massage therapists, all the hats that we wear, wives, sisters, the list goes on. It's like, if one plate off that pendulum is gonna fall, we got to pick it back up and get it spinning again. And that's kind of what we do for each other, is we help each other spin the plate.
And I think that, like, maybe we had the pleasure of, like, growing up in our manual therapy career, of having this perfect space where people could ask each other, like, oh, where do you think that comes from? Whatever story you're talking about, whatever belief you've come up with, like, maybe you should look at that a little deeper, and in the sense of, like, work on yourself, those types of things. And I think that a big, powerful tool is, like, finding, not everybody's going to find their person in a friend / coworker that can build each other up and do what we've done in our friendship and our relationship, which I think is really cool. So I also think being those people, whether it's through our screens, through our words, through whatever we can, to kind of build up other massage therapists and give you guys that like person to just be like, hey, why do I think that? Why do I have that story and that belief about my therapy or my practice or whatever it is, right? My pain, maybe, I don't know. But I think that that's a really cool thing that we get to bring to each other. So let's share that.
I absolutely love that. And I 100% agree. I just have super ADD, and I just see a family running with their little girl, and I think that's the
so
coolest
cute
thing I've ever seen. She must be like 8.
Oh my gosh.
But anyways, so that's me. I'll be off on many tangents, but Rachel reined me in. But I love that. Yes, nobody, not everybody is as lucky to have found people right at the start of their career. But it's still possible to find that person. But if it isn't, Rachel and I want to be that for you, right? So with our bantering, we hope that, through all this, you get some really good nuggets of how to build your waitlisted practice, how to build up your knowledge in manual therapy and massage therapy. And I'm going to hand it over to Rachel. I pretty much said she's a master at neurokinetic therapy and a master at myofascia release. It's definitely her strong suit. And like I said, she sees muscles differently than a lot of people that I know. And the way she treats people, it's just like magic on the table. So many people come out of that room and are like, that really wasn't, what I expected from a massage, but like, I'm coming back 1,000,000 times. And the best part about being a massage therapist is that it gives the person an invite to come back 1,000 times, because we always are working on ourselves. It never ends. We're never going to get to a point where like, I'm good. Never happens. We can always be working on ourselves, whether it be externally with massage therapy or internally with the stuff that we'll be sharing in this podcast. So off to you, Rachel.
Yeah. So like where I want to go with that is, we just want to share all of that adventure and journey that we've kind of worked through and continue to work through for the past like 5 years that we've been together.
No.
And so starting in the massage world was a very different experience for me. And I went through a lot of like hills and valleys.
Really?
Oh yeah. A lot of time where it was like, who do I think I am? What am I doing right now? I really have
imposter syndrome.
Clue. But I think isn't there a little bit of that happened in the beginning? Think of the beginning when the buildings open again after COVID. I graduated and massage school over a Zoom meeting. Yeah. That was my final exam was over a Zoom meeting. And so it was like very surreal, and it was very much like, oh, okay, now I'm released into the wild where I'm supposed to go and help these people that have pain and have like real problems and all this kind of stuff. And I'm like, who am I to think that I'm qualified to do those things, right?
Fair enough, yeah.
There was a lot there. So once we got through the whole like meeting each other phase and being like, oh yeah, you're going to be a problem. I can tell from your picture that you're going to be like a bitch. Then I don't want to be friends with.
That's what you thought about me?
Totally.
That's awesome.
Your picture on the website. I was like, great. Super excited for that one. Super excited.
That's funny.
And then to find out that you're just a giant softie is pretty cool. So that's fun. So then when we get working with each other and get into that world and start, I think like pretty soon in our relationship of just asking those questions like, why do you have that story? Why would you say that? Why do you have that belief about yourself or that lack of confidence or all these types of things? And it was like, oh, okay, so we're just like putting it all out there and we're just being vulnerable and just like questioning that. Okay. I guess that's what we're doing. So
we did Mindscape together. That's what really cracked us all open, right? To explore. So that's really neat. But that'll be on another day. So. What Mindscape is, maybe even interview Kristen.
Yeah.
That'd cool. Awesome.
So where I want to go with all this, long story wrap back around, is like meeting Brie and starting to break through some of those barriers and those stories that we create for ourselves and all those types of things. I really found like a true wonderful friend that cares so much and an incredible therapist in so many things, not just like manual therapy or massage therapy, in like personal training, in life. I think just in life in general. So I want to share the Brie that I know with everybody else,
Aw.
because that's kind of a wrapped up little thing that we don't always share with everyone. So I want to go through and share with everyone why you're here, and what happened to get you here. So like some questions
We're
are
getting
like,
into it.
yeah, right?
Right.
So some questions that I feel would be like who are you? Where did you come from? And what led you on this path? Like, what did growing up look like for you that created this strive for a career that forces you to learn and break down walls and continue to like work on yourself in order to be able to help people?
Well, to make a very long story short, and I'm sure like all people that start podcasts, you'll hear my story over and over again in different little bits, but grew up Saskatchewan farm girl, worked very, very hard our whole life. Dad taught us how to work. Mom always worked. She always held down a job, even though she probably didn't need to. So just, watching through that, right? Parents are huge. So, yeah, was a fat girl. Because I tried to,
Oh, we're gonna edit right there and put in a picture of Fat Girl Brie.
yes. Yes. Yep. So that was me. And it was, it was a time. So when I decided I was going to make a change, I actually went up to the biggest bully in my school, who called me fat all the time, and he was like super good looking guy. He isn't anymore, so ha.
Huh.
But anyways, I said, because he worked out all the time, and I was like, can you help me work out? And he was like, are you kidding me? You want to work out? Why? You want to work out with me? And I was like, yeah, like I need someone to show me, and you look like you know how to work out. So anyways, we became best friends. And he taught me all the things that I know about the gym. And that stuck with me from 15 to 44. I still, work out daily. It became a huge passion of mine to try and help people get through their pain of being overweight, for lack of a better word. But not knowing anything of what I know now about emotion and subconsciousness and all the things, I just was really stuck in trying to help people. So it was like I was on a hamster wheel as a personal trainer, giving them the exercises, understanding the knowledge of kinesiology, but like having no idea how to actually fucking talk to anyone, like people, right? I ended up resenting them, like wanting it more than them, all the things.
But how to talk to them, but also how to relate to them, because you go
Yeah.
into kinesiology and take that training and the in-depth and like all these pieces of the puzzle, but if you leave out all of the, like you say, everything that you know now,
Yeah.
if you leave all of that out, like how does a person become successful on that journey, right?
You don't.
Yeah.
You literally don't.
Right?
You run on a hamster wheel for a very long time,
Yeah.
and you make very little money as a personal trainer anywho, and you end up just like resenting the whole weight loss, fat loss BS.
Yeah.
And then I became a manual therapist, massage therapist, to be insurable. Really, I was going to stay a personal trainer, but I was just going to be like, well, people can use their benefits.
Okay, got it.
And yeah, so there I am, massage therapy, didn't really love it, doing effleurage and all the things, and just wasn't hitting for me. Got an awesome partner who we will probably interview as well, Raven, and she was a wimp, and she wouldn't let me even like do a freaking effleurage on her without crying. So I was like, this is stupid. So I started trigger pointing her, and I literally just started pressing on parts that hurt until they would go away. And she said she never felt better. So I was like, oh, I'm onto something here. So I picked up the old trigger point book and I started studying it, and I never put it down. And I would call myself an expert in trigger point therapy.
Oh, totally, yeah.
And it's kind of melded into a little bit more like the fascial release therapy with some cranial sacral. So we'll get into what that is. But if you're a therapist, listening, you'll probably already have known some of those things and have heard some of those words. And if you don't, please feel free to comment below, and we'd love to help you out with where you can find information on that.
Totally.
But we'll slowly start telling you all the things, like where we took our courses, who we took our courses with. We'll probably start interviewing some of the people that we took courses with, and when we take courses. We'll be doing podcasts when we go to PDTR in San Francisco, all the things. But yeah, so just learned as much as I possibly could because I'm a lot older than Rachel and I feel like I have this much time where she has like this much time. So I'm just like piling it all in, which isn't awesome for someone with dyslexia and ADD. But here I am. It's slowly now unraveling after like 5 years of just like thousands of dollars of courses. I don't know if anyone
It's been
realizes
such a
how.
busy 5 years.
Yeah, yeah. And KT was insane. I had to take level 2 twice.
Yeah. I'm like, yeah. I was discussing this last night with my husband and I thought, like we have done so much in 5 years
Mm-hmm.
on
Mm-hmm.
different courses and training and
Mm-hmm.
modalities and all the things that it's
Mm-hmm.
like, yeah, we're just chasing after it and it's kind of crazy. Most people are like just enough to like get their credits and those types of things for our continuing education, but we haven't we
Yeah.
haven't stopped.
No, and I'd
We haven't
really
stopped once.
and I think that could be part of the secret that we'll talk
Mhm.
about in our course that we have created and building pillars and building a waitlisted practice of who you are, like who defines who you are as a therapist and a person.
Yeah,
If you don't do the deeper dive on yourself, I don't know how you can help anybody,
totally.
essentially, right?
Yeah.
Um, so yeah, if you ever need to get called on your bullshit, Rachel, do it. But
I got
it's
you.
very helpful. So I'm going to hand the mic back over to Rachel and ask her story. So, I'm a Saskatchewan farm girl. I work really hard. I'm a lot older than Rachel, and I plan on just trying to always be up here because I feel like I have less time, which sounds super stupid. But here we are. Now I'm going to hand it over to Rachel. Where did you come from? What's your upbringing?
Mhm.
Why did you get into massage therapy? I don't even think I know that.
Yeah, so like so my upbringing is quite a bit different. Like my parents worked hard, but that being said, they worked hard so they weren't around a whole bunch like to help support. And so my values from my upbringing then, like my what I want to make sure that I create for my life and for my children and all of those types of things is to make sure that I'm working hard and feeling successful in my own body and showing my kids that we can have that nice balance if we choose correctly. For one, like my husband works oil field, so he's not with us ever, almost. So that's what that feels like. So um yeah, so I knew that I wanted a different lifestyle for sure, right? Like
And
I
you don't
want,
have to make thousands and thousands
yeah,
and hundreds of thousands of dollars to have happiness,
totally,
right?
right?
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, so that was like a little bit different for me. I just didn't know what that looked like. And I kind of always envisioned just being like this housewife and raising kids and taking care of a home. Um, and then one day, when a day before my 17th birthday, I had a traumatic car accident, um, flipped my entire world around. Literally, actually, my where our car flipped and rolled and all sorts of chaos. So there was a moment for me later on in life that after this accident and all the learning that I got to do from that as well of like um these invisible injuries is what I refer to it as, because like, oh, I've got this thing going on in my neck and my hip and all these things that physically I am fine. Like you look at
Mm-hmm.
me, I'm totally great. Everything's perfect, right? But really I was in pain all the time for a 17-year-old, 18-year-old kid was like, yeah, this can't be normal. So I started seeking out massage therapy through multiple different places and kind of always getting those results, that people talk about of, like, oh, I feel good for like a little bit and then my pain comes back, and it's similar to other modalities where it's like, oh, you have to come once a week, once every 2 weeks, all these types of things in order to feel okay, and not great, but feel okay. And so, okay, cool, that's what I've signed up for. That's the path that I'm walking now. And so fast forward quite a few years later, after I've found a husband, married, have our home, our children, all the things. Um, and now my values have changed of like, okay, I really want to find something getting back into the work field. I stayed home with my kids until they were school age and was a stay-at-home mom, which is what a vision I always wanted for myself. So that was pretty cool. And then one day I just was like, yeah, it'd be really cool to have this vision and be home with my children and have my husband be home to enjoy that with me. what is it that I could do to get back into the workforce that would provide enough financial stability for my husband to quit his oil field job and come home and be with us. And so that was something, pardon me, that I was always kind of keeping my eye out for, watching, but also like, I don't have any education at the time. I was, 28 years old. I was like, how am I supposed to now get any education and do this whole thing with a husband that works away and raising two daughters and not having a big um, circle to rely on to help me out at that point? And so I literally, there is a pivotal moment that I was sitting in the waiting room waiting for my massage therapist to come out. And I looked around and there was like three therapists that must have all started at the same time. They all come out at the same time and they're laughing and they're smiling and they seemed like just these like perfect women walking around the clinic. And I'm like, man, I wonder how much money they make. Because I'm looking at them laughing and smiling, thinking, okay, so you guys get to like work in a dimly lit room where no one screams at you like a retail worker. Everyone is ecstatic to see you.
So
and
true.
here you're clearly enjoying yourself.
Yeah.
I was like, I wonder how much money they make. And I literally went home, did a little bit of research, and was like, okay. And I enrolled for school months later, jumped into it. Thank God that I love it and found a passion that I'm like, oh my gosh, this is my jam.
Right.
Because that could have been like, okay, cool. That was a waste of
Do you think you would have
thousands of
known after the
dollars.
first year if you wouldn't have liked it?
I think I would have known
Yeah.
for sure.
Right. Then you
Like,
just wouldn't have gone any further.
hubby and I were just talking about this last night. Was like, oh, okay, so now there's like new people in your class. How many do you think are going to be therapists? Is something that I
Yeah,
asked.
that's true.
Right? Because I think that you can kind of get a pretty good feel for how many are going
who's
to be
in it and who's not.
right?
100%.
Yeah.
I mean, out of the 10 that graduated with Raven and I'd say that Raven and two other ones are like full on, with the exception of like we said, I'm like going for the stars, but like Raven isn't like already in Chinese medicine. Like she's like 5 years into education. Like who is going to be the ones? But it's like a 1% thing, like everything else, right?
Yeah.
Who's going to be the 1% that makes it? And if you're listening to this and you're a massage therapist who, graduated a while ago, but you stayed home to raise your babies, like freaking awesome.
Yeah.
But you want to get back into it, but you're just like, oh, I don't even know where to start.
Yeah.
Like Rachel and I can help you. We will absolutely walk you through the tunnel back into massage therapy, because the number one thing that gets most people that I've found is imposter syndrome.
Yeah.
Right?
Totally.
And the other one is complete and utter laziness. And that's just like being mean in the sense that it's like you need to know what you're getting into. It's a very physically demanding job, but it doesn't have to be, right? There's other avenues that you can take, cranial and, myofascial release and stuff that isn't as physically demanding, but you got to get there, right? And we can help you get there by working on yourself. So back to you about, so what was your first impression after, say, your first year? Were you like, oh my God, yes, this is it, I love it? When was that point in which you're like, I love this job in which I do?
Like how far into my career?
Yeah.
Years.
Really?
Yeah.
Right? Like after we were at our studio for a while, clinic for a while and stuff?
Like I knew that I loved it and I knew that there was like a big passion there for sure. But battling a lot with like not enoughness and imposter syndrome and all these things, right? And I think it was probably 2 years in that it was like, okay, I get this. This is good. Like this is going to be great, But it took a hot minute for sure.
Yeah.
And so especially, like other therapists coming back in, if maybe you've stayed home to raise your kids, those types of things, or coming back into it for whatever reason, doesn't matter. It can be also really overwhelming trying to get caught up on what's happening in the massage world and what courses we should be taking and what information we should be taking on. Where's our priorities there? All those types of things, like that can be really overwhelming.
Totally.
And I feel like at some point something jumped out and was like, well, there's my path. I don't have to question any of this anymore.
Awesome.
Right?
Yeah.
So one of our questions that we wanted to work through was like, how long have you been a massage therapist? I graduated in 2020 and when the world shut down. So like I said, I graduated on a Zoom meeting, which was ridiculous and Yeah, so that was a lot of imposter syndrome.
Yeah, a hands-on
Right?
modality, and you're doing it via Zoom, right? It's a little bit hard to know if you're actually you didn't really get quizzed or tested on
I
your
had my notes
skills.
sitting beside me on
Yeah.
my bed, right? Like I was like, doesn't matter what you ask me, all the answers are here. I just need to not look down at them while you're looking at my face.
Yeah. But the craziest part about all of that is that the best therapist, whether they're osteo, massage, physio, chiro, it's the ones that are the best are the ones that feel good about themselves.
For
End
sure.
of story.
So Brie also graduated 2020.
Yep.
You want to share what your graduating looked like?
Oh God, we'll insert a picture here of what my grad looked like.
Yeah.
Pretty much ghettoed right up with all of the stuff.
Do you remember those memes that went around after the world opened back up again of massage therapists with like rakes?
Oh yeah,
and there was
sticks
like,
and oh my God, pokey
and they were
things.
like raking people's backs because this is as close as I'm allowed to get to you. That's what I imagine your grad was like.
Ours was bad. It was bad. We literally had to wear goggles, but you'll see the picture.
Yeah. So I think what's cool about pointing out that we've both only been therapists for like 5 years, is that, man, we have excelled in our careers, and it's only taken 5 years. And so I just wanted to point that out because like, you don't need to be a 10, 15, 20-year veteran in our field to really stand out and make a difference of what therapy could look like, right? For whatever your niche is, whatever your thing is that you're passionate about, all those things. And that's where we're like, hey, you know, like people should know this. You don't need to be in for 20 years to feel the way that we feel about our jobs and our career and the way that we're going, right? So,
and I think another thing that we really are good at is putting all of our modalities into a 1 hour treatment if we had to, right? Like so many therapists, we learn a modality and we think like, oh, we can only do this now, and we can only do this and we can only do that, right? But it's like, I mean, you know, referring to osteopathy has a lot of different certifications under one umbrella. The same can be true for massage therapists, and it's really becoming very melded together, right? Sure. In the same sense that like I can take just as many certifications, if not more, cranial sacral certifications than an osteo. And we have our NKT, and we're soon to get our PDTR and all these different modalities. Well, it's like people are like, well, someone came for a massage therapy session. They don't want muscle testing. Trust me, if you listen to them, they just want to feel better and they trust you to help them with that. So if they feel like you care 110% about their pain, they will let you do whatever it is that you do and whatever tool you decide to pull out, whether it be 10 in that 1 hour or 1. If you explain to them and help them and educate them along the way, they will literally be your client for life. And that's what we're trying to help you, is have those clients for life. Period. Yeah. So I think that almost wraps up our first podcast.
I think we
Okay. So
covered a lot there.
We hope to inspire other therapists to find confidence and purpose and passion. And we want to connect with other entrepreneurs and mothers and all the other therapists out there. And we want to talk through some of our, you know, journey with what practices we have found to be the most beneficial for people in pain, because obviously people that are out there are seeking pain relief, and we hope to be the reason that you happen upon our podcast and you start listening to us, and now you have found therapists that are, you know, educated in the same modalities that we do, and you're without pain. And that's what we hope to bring to the table.
That would be a perfect goal.
Right?
I think, right?
Peace.
Bye.